All right, so you want to know about the zone diet for CrossFit?
We're going deep on that today.
That's right, we are. We're diving into this CrossFit Journal article. And let me tell you, it makes some pretty big claims, not just about, feeling a little bit better or having a bit more energy.
It's about performance, right?
Exactly, hitting those PRs, crushing those WODs.
Yeah. For anyone who's new to the CrossFit lingo, WOD, that's workout of the day.
But this article is saying that the zone diet can actually help you achieve those goals.
And it's not just like some vague idea. It talks about how the zone diet actually impacts your performance physiologically.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break it down for me.
So the whole concept revolves around stabilizing your blood sugar, right? And what that means is sustained energy throughout your entire workout.
So no more hitting the wall mid-Fran.
Exactly. No more bonking.
Sign me up. Those thrusters and pull-ups are killer. I'll take all the energy I can get.
You'll be powering through them like a machine.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
But how do we actually make it happen? Because they really emphasize this whole, weighing and measuring everything. And I'll be honest, I'm usually more of an eyeball it kind of person in the kitchen.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are, but they're pretty adamant about this point, at least initially.
For how long are we talking?
They recommend about 2 weeks of religiously tracking your food. Think of it like learning a new skill, right?
Okay.
Like imagine a carpenter trying to eyeball measurements before they even know how to use a measuring tape.
Ouch, yeah. That's not going to end well.
Exactly. So this initial phase is about developing that intuitive sense. You're mastering the measuring tape of nutrition, so to speak.
Okay, so after 2 weeks of weighing my chicken breast and sweet potato, I'll be like a zone ninja.
Pretty much. You'll be able to estimate portion sizes and macros like a pro. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's back up a bit.
Yeah, let's talk about what the zone diet actually is. What makes it different from every other diet out there?
So at its core, it's this system of blocks. Each block represents a specific amount of protein, carbs, and fat.
So like building blocks for your meals.
Exactly. 1 block of protein is 7 grams, 1 block of carbs is 9 grams, and 1 block of fat is 1.5 grams.
Okay, so a zone-balanced meal would have an equal number of blocks for each.
You got it.
Like if I'm having a 3-block meal, that's 3 blocks of protein, 3 of carbs, and 3 of fat.
You're getting it.
And this magically translates into that 40-30-30 split they keep talking about?
Precisely. 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat. It's like a built-in formula for success.
That does sound pretty foolproof.
Right.
But before I start planning my post-web bleed feast, I'm going to need to know how many blocks to actually eat today.
Exactly. You don't want to just be randomly combining blocks.
Like a zone toddler, just smashing blocks together?
Yeah, not quite the precision we're going for. So they actually have this chart, right? It takes into account your sex and your activity level.
Okay, so since we're talking CrossFit, we're probably looking at those athletic and hard gainer categories.
Exactly, because obviously someone who's hitting the box 5 days a week and lifting heavy, they're going to need a different amount of fuel than someone who's just starting out.
Yeah, fuel the fire you're creating. Okay, but now I got to ask, because, when I hear strict diet, counting every gram, I immediately think, this sounds about as fun as a marathon Murph.
I feel you.
But one thing I was surprised by was how flexible the zone diet actually is.
That's one of the things I like about it. It's not about, you can't eat this, you can't eat that.
It's more about hitting those ratios.
Exactly. It's all about that 40-30-30 split, remember?
Right. The magic formula.
Yeah.
So, even if you're paleo or vegan or whatever, you can make it work.
Absolutely. The block system is the framework, but you can choose the building materials,
Okay, I like that. A diet that fits your life. But how do they make this whole block thing practical? Are we talking spreadsheets and stuff? Because if so, I'm out.
No spreadsheets. They have these things called block charts, right? Think of it like your zone diet Bible.
Okay.
You've got your favorable carbs, your unfavorable carbs.
Wait, hold on. Back up. Favorable versus unfavorable carbs. Is this where my dreams of sweet potato fries die?
Not necessarily. It's all about understanding how they fit into your macros, right?
Yeah.
And the charts help you with that. They tell you exactly how much of each food equals a block.
So I can still have my sweet potato, just got to be mindful of the portion.
Exactly.
Okay, so what else is in these categories? Give me the good, the bad, and the surprising.
So on the favorable side, you've got your lean proteins like chicken breast, fish, that kind of thing. Plenty of veggies, broccoli, spinach, the usual suspects.
Right.
But then you also have things like spirulina and tempeh, which are great plant-based options.
Okay, see, now that's interesting. What about the unfavorable side? Don't leave me hanging.
Well, that's where you'll find the refined carbs, sugary treats, that kind of thing.
Yeah, okay, so maybe not the best pre-WOD fuel.
Probably not.
Although, I'm not sure my definition of a cheat meal aligns with the zone diets. But speaking of delicious and zone-friendly, let's talk about those meal examples they provided. That breakfast quesadilla you mentioned earlier is calling my name.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. And what's great is they have examples for different block requirements.
Oh, that's helpful.
So whether you're a 2-block machine or a 5-block powerhouse.
There's something for everyone.
Exactly. They've got quick breakfasts, satisfying lunches, even snacks.
Okay, snacks are key. Gotta keep those energy levels up between meals. But let's get specific. Hit me with some of these tantalizing zone-approved meals.
Well, for breakfast, you've got that quesadilla, which is great for savory cravings.
Huh.
Or they have a smoothie recipe if you're more of a grab-and-go person.
Love a good grab-and-go option. What about lunch?
For lunch, I'm a fan of the grilled chicken salad.
Classic.
Lots of protein, tons of veggies for those favorable carbs, and a light dressing to keep it zone-friendly.
Sounds perfect for a post-WOD refueling.
Yeah.
What about dinner?
They have a really nice salmon with roasted vegetables recipe.
Ooh, salmon.
Simple, delicious, hits all your macros.
And those healthy fats. Can't forget those, especially for recovery. This is making me rethink my whole pre- and post-WOD meal plan. Imagine having sustained energy through that last AMRAP set. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I do want to circle back to one thing. They mentioned something about adjusting fat intake as you get leaner, especially for athletes.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that? It did feel like a bit of a footnote, right?
Yeah, they kind of snuck it in there.
Like, oh, by the way, this whole block thing, your body might need a little extra something as you get leaner, especially if you're pushing it with CrossFit.
It's like they're acknowledging that, you know? You're not a robot. You're a dynamic organism.
Right. And if you're constantly pushing your limits in the box, your needs are going to change too.
Exactly. You're not going to need the same fuel when you're squatting twice your body weight as you did when you started.
Makes sense. So it's less about hitting an arbitrary number and more about, like, listening to your body.
I think that's a big part of it.
But how do we actually do that? Like, if I'm feeling a little extra depleted, do I just add an avocado to my salad and call it a day?
Well, it can be a bit more nuanced than that.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
The article talks about how as you become leaner, your body might actually need more dietary fat.
Really? More fat?
Yeah, to support things like hormone function and energy levels.
Huh. Interesting. So it's not about fearing fat. It's about understanding its role.
Exactly. And being willing to adjust your intake based on your body's needs.
Which I guess circles back to that whole idea of individualization, right?
100%. What works for one person might not work for another.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners who are like, all right, this zone diet sounds pretty legit. I'm ready to try it.
I think the biggest thing is don't be afraid to experiment. Pay attention to how you feel, how your energy levels are throughout the day, how you're recovering from your workouts.
And don't be afraid to adjust those macros if something's not feeling right.
Exactly. You're in the driver's seat.
Because knowledge is power, right? The more you understand about how your body responds to food, the better you can fuel your performance.
And isn't that the whole point?
It really is. All right, so there you have it, your deep dive into the zone diet for CrossFit. We've broken down the principles, the practicality, even those little nuances that make it so effective. But now, we want to hear from you. Have you tried the zone diet? Did you crush those WODs? Let us know. And until next time, keep crushing it in the box and in the kitchen.